YouTube, what's going on? It's everybody's favorite point guard, Geethers, back with another news video. And today, guys, we are going over all the news that 2K just dropped today about the MyPlayer builder, okay? So I'm not going to waste y'all's time. Make sure y'all like and subscribe, and let's get right into it, okay? So starting off, they added a new animation glossary, okay? So pretty much one thing you guys are going to see here is it is a huge quality of life. You know, they made a real note to emphasis on the quality of life upgrades. And so one of them is a little animation glossary. So you might see it in the video that's playing in the background. Basically, while you're making your player, and you get to the part where you're trying to test it and everything, and even before you're testing it, while you're in the builder, you can search up, you know, these different animations. So for example, if you want the Tyrese Halliburton behind the back, right, you can search up by name, by name, and scroll through the different options and see what stats you need to qualify for that, right? So, you know, quality of life upgrade. Not too big of a deal, but there's also a couple other things with the build maker when it comes to the quality of life. One of them is the build by badges. So basically, this is something that a lot of people already do anyway. So it's going into the MyPlayer builder, seeing what badges you want to, you know, what badge thresholds you want to get. So for example, this year, if I wanted posterizer on gold, I needed a 93 driving dunk plus the 80 vertical, right? So now, if I were to want that, I can set that as like I can pin that in the MyPlayer builder. And those badges, it will enhance, and it basically just lock that in, so where if I'm tweaking my build, I'm always going to have that, and those stats are going to go down even if I'm trying to take something else down. So it's another quality of life thing. I don't know how much is going to be used or not, but moving on, body types as well. They already talked about this a little bit previously. You can see why in the build maker each different body type you're going to get. So like I said, another quality of life thing, something to where you're not going to have to make your build, you know, fully make the build, go into through my career cutscenes and everything, and then see what body type you're going to get. You're going to know off the rip. So that's good. They have the build templates are back, so they have the different NBA ones to where you can make it just like your each NBA player. And then the one feature that they also had in previous 2Ks is if I click, you know, the LeBron James template, I'm going to get all of his animations for free. That's pretty cool. That's back. Nothing really new with that. And they also still have the Pro Tune builds and the community builds. And then they have one of the cool things about the community builds this year is they have a way to submit them. So if for instance, if I have a couple different builds that I'm making and I want to submit them, I can submit it to 2K and they can maybe feature me, which is pretty cool. The scouting report. So this is another thing that's new with the features. So it's like the little end screen after you make your build and you get your name and everything. It shows you, you know, your best go-to badges. It shows you your top attributes, and then it just gives you a little scouting report like you would see on a typical, like, you know, NBA scouting report, and it shows you your strengths, your weaknesses, and, you know, if they've used the example of if you make a point guard build that has, you know, good scoring, good defense, but doesn't have a high pass sack, it's going to tell you in your pass sack, you know, he lacks vision. Their exact weakness on their build was rarely disrupts the ball with any purpose and lack of passing vision on the court. So that's pretty cool. Nothing too crazy, but the MyPlayer builder in itself has a whole new look, and it's going to be something different. You know, it's going to be a lot of the same when it comes to probably the builder, but the look and feel of it's going to be a bit different, just a lot of better quality of life stuff. So can't complain about any of that stuff, but let's get into the real meat and potatoes of the actual how it's contributing to the gameplay. Okay, so height balancing, we've already talked about this before, and they talked about it again. They say here is the game is growing, right? The max height, the max height for my players in NBA 2K26 is now 7'4", which is pretty cool. I'll be honest, I don't think 7'4" is going to be that good, just because once you get to a certain height, you know, you're just so slow, right? Maybe for park and maybe for different Wimby builds and things like that, but you now make him 7'4". And then they finally said, you know, the MyPlayer builder has been balanced to ensure that all height measurements, short and tall, can be effective against anyone on the court and encourage more build diversity. So they've already talked about that before. We already knew this, and let's just hope that they, you know, follow through with this, and I can make any type of build. You know, at my 6'9", if I want to make a 6'9", that can dribble and be a point forward, and he's effective and he can actually be used and not just get flicked every time, right? That's just an example, but hopefully that is something that can be done. So badge perks. Now this is where we really get into it, and this is kind of crazy, okay? So now they have new badge perks this year. So not only are the max plus ones back, but they also have max plus twos. And so they work just like they sound. If I have a badge on gold, for instance, I max plus two it, I get it up to legend. Now that is a little crazy, and I say all that to say, you know, legend badges are back, bronze through legend. It's the same system as it was last year, pretty much all the same badges as well. And yeah, so there's max plus twos now, and then they have their different seasonal perks, which we had last year as well. And their 3 seasonal perks are Takeover Surge, Hot Start, and Clutch Gene. Now they work a little bit differently than they did last year. You see, last year they kind of worked to make your badges improve and make your badges more upgrade faster, but this year they're a little bit different. So basically, Takeover Surge is the badges that are equipped with this perk will be boosted 1 tier. So kind of like a max plus 1, but only when you have Takeover level 5 active. Okay, so think of it is if I have Posterizer, I'll keep going back to Posterizer. I have Posterizer on as my Takeover Surge tier 1 badge, right? Tier 1 badge perk. If my Posterizer is on gold, and then I have Takeover actively, that'll boost it up to Hall of Fame, if that makes sense. And now the same thing with Hot Start. Hot Start is badges equipped with this perk will be boosted 1 tier beyond their max potential during the early portions of games. And then Clutch Gene, same thing except for in late game. So badges equipped with this perk will be boosted 1 tier beyond their max potential during high pressure situations, including late game situations in the park and in the end of the 4th quarter and overtime. So in Pro-Am and Rec in the 4th quarter and in overtime, at the end of the 4th quarter and the end of overtime, if I have, set shot specialist set as my badge, and I usually have it on Hall of Fame, I put it on there. Now it's up to legend in that clutch moment. So pretty cool. And those are going to be the rotating season rewards, and then with 1 available each season, and then the badge perks reset to their original tier once the season ends. Meanwhile, the badge elevators they have now, those are coming back as well to help you provide permanent upgrades within a badge's max potential and performance multipliers that accelerate badge progression. So all those are back from 2K25. Nothing wrong with that. And then it actually looked like in the picture that they showed, there's going to be 3 different max plus 1 slots and 3 different max plus 2 slots, which is absurd. If I had to assume, the two of the max plus 1s or 2 of the max plus 2s will probably be from season rewards again. As you get to level 40, you'll get more max plus 1, max plus 2. Same with the the Clutch Gene and the Hot Start and all that. But the one on the bottom I'm actually going to talk about in a minute is going to contribute to a different part, which I'll get to here in a minute. But then badge accelerators, okay? So this is kind of new, and we'll talk more about this in the future because you probably won't have to use these a lot, but it's basically during a team practice in my career, you can earn these badge accelerators that help speed up progression of the badge you practice for a limited number of games. We've kind of had stuff like that here in the past in 2K, so nothing too crazy. Takeover, so there's a whole new takeover system. It says, after creating your MyPlayer, you'll be automatically assigned a takeover that best fits your archetype. As you heat up on the court and fill up the 5 levels of your takeover meter over multiple games, you'll unlock over 40 takeover-related rewards. These include takeover tokens, which are used to unlock new takeovers and takeover abilities. Overall, there are 44 different takeovers and 11 takeover abilities in 2K26. And that's about half of what there was in 2K25. But now each one is supposed to be more impactful. And then all the levels of new takeovers are instantly available to you, and you don't need to grind to unlock them. So that's pretty cool. You don't got to grind to unlock all these different types of takeovers. They're all available off rip, right? Now there's takeover presets as well that allow you to change which takeover you have equipped between games without exiting all the way to the menus. So another quality of life thing. And then there's takeover accelerators, which speed up how quickly you fill your takeover meter. I'm sure that's going to kind of be like how Hot Start was and 2.8, and that's kind of like those things that help get it probably through the rep. And then the final reward is the custom takeover, which allows you to design your own takeover from scratch, choosing the targeted attributes that you are boosting and pairing that with any takeover ability you build can use. So that's pretty cool. So like basically you get there's 3 different options. And so if I want to upgrade my driving dunk, my 3-pointer, and like my pass act, for instance, I can do that once I unlock the custom takeover, and then I'll choose whichever the takeover ability that you get when you hit level 5 that I want. So if I want it to be deep bomber, for instance, and then I also get the plus to my dunk, plus to my 3-ball, and plus to my ball handle. That's pretty cool. I don't know what you're going to have to do to unlock it. I don't know how hard it will be, but I think that's a W. That just gives you more customization. Now the build specialization. This is some of the biggest news, honestly. This along as cap breakers, but I'll go into this first. So in NBA 2K26, there's build specialization. Quest lines. So it allows you to enhance your MyPlayer's potential in a specific skill area, okay? And so basically what this means is for each different save, you can pick one of the 5 areas to specialize in: finishing, shooting, playmaking, defense, or rebounding, okay? And each area has 9 unique quests that test your abilities in that specialty. And so for example, if I choose the shooting quest line, your second quest will be make 100 3-pointers and mid-range shots. And basically, in these masteries, you can choose one per save. So you can choose wisely and you use it. Also, figure out which one you're going to do before you put VC on that build. Because in this, there's rewards are not only max +1 and max +2 badge perks that are permanent, but also cap breakers that are only specifically for that stat. For example, if I do the shooting one, the shooting build specialization quests, that will eventually give me a max +1 and a max +2 that I can only use for shooting badges, okay? And it also, as far as we know, it gives you at least one cap breaker for that specific category. So if I do the shooting one, and it might be multiple, but as far as we know, from what they've shown us, we've only seen one. It'll be at least one cap breaker, but that cap breaker can only be used for shooting. So either mid-range, three-pointer, or free throw, okay? So with that in mind, you want to keep in mind, save you some trouble, save you some VC. Keep in mind how many cap breakers you're going to get for your build. Like for me, the first thing that I do when I load up 2K25, 2K26, I'm going to figure out how many cap breakers I'm going to be able to get quickly and how long it's going to take me to get more and more cap breakers, because I will most likely I'll figure out, okay, these cap breakers I'll get quick, these cap breakers I'll get, but these set of cap breakers, for maybe one of the high legend rewards or something like that, I never see, right? So I'll make it with this amount of cap breakers in mind that will make it so where I get more stats in my build, right? And so you want to just keep that in mind when you're making your build, and don't rush it, because these cap breakers are very, very important, and they're even better this year, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But that's something that is very, very cool, and the max +1 and the max +2 badge perk for it is permanent. So once I unlock it, when season 2 starts, I'm not going to lose it. I'm always going to have those max +1 and max +2. So these permanent max +1, max +2s, even the temporary ones, but still the permanent ones especially, and then the cap breakers, you really want to keep in mind before you make your build, because that can make it to where you might like a different height better, or you can lower this stat somewhere. For example, if I want to have a a legend posterizer build, a 99 driving dunk build, right? But I just go 93. And my special, my build specialization is finishing. I have that guaranteed max +2. I got legend posterizer always, right? So that's just an example, and that's something to keep in mind. And I think that's pretty cool. And it looks like it's not going to be that hard to grind out either, right? Now, once you get to the end of the shooting one that it showed us, like it gets like 2,000 3 balls, but you'll eventually get that. And plus, if you really wanted to, you put the My Career on rookie. You can get that 2,000 3 balls in a week if you really wanted to. If you did every night after work type of thing, play a little bit of My Career, 12-minute quarters on rookie, you can shoot 50 threes in one My Career game if you're on rookie, right? So moving on, and this is the other big news, is the cap breakers. So like I said, cap breakers are evolving, and so in NBA 2K25, each cap breaker raises an attribute by +1 point no matter what, right? And usually we would all make the highest ones, the ones that costed the most, right? So if I was upgrading something to 99, I'm going to put that at 94, put the 5 cap breakers on it to get to 99, right? But now, basically they're making it to where they lower stats. For example, they have in their example a 25 driving dunk, right? That one cap breaker that will give it +14, and basically it makes it to where some of these smaller stats, you can get a whole lot more stats out of it with the cap breakers. But I think it'll still be more beneficial to use the cap breakers for the stats that cost more, right? If I want to have a 99 driving dunk, like I said, I'm going to use 5 of my cap break for that 99 driving dunk, right? But that being said, it could be something that we'll have to experiment with, like I was saying before. I'm going to experiment in this build maker and see, okay, how many cap breakers I can get, and then where can I put these cap breakers to make sure I'm getting the most out of the builder so I can get all the stats that I can, right? But with these new cap breakers and all these extra max +1 and max +2, I really think, and no RNG, pure green window, we're gonna get these demigods back. And I'm telling you, my first build is gonna be almost just like a 2-way playmaker for 2K20. I have a build video dropping in a couple days as well. It's gonna be kind of showcasing that from 2K25, right? But this is gonna be legit, and I'm excited for it. It also says for the cap breakers, everything else is still the same. You can still put it, if I want to get my 3 ball to a 99, my player has to have the ability to get it to a 99, right? Like I can't go, 7'4" max wingspan and then still somehow get to a 99 3 ball. That's not how it works, right? And everything else is the same. You can only put it on their 5 different ticks per stat category, and you must have that stat category maxed out before you put the cat breakers on it. And so they say cat breakers can be earned from build specialization quests, which we already talked about. Season rewards are probably like hitting level 40 again. You'll get a cat breaker, kind of like it was last year. Rep rewards, probably how it was last year as well. Like, starter 3, veteran 2, kind of like the same thing. But also, this is in some other ways that they can't talk about yet. So, not only are cat break, I've been saying cat breakers are probably going to be easier to get, but now they're saying there's even other ways to get them. So, I feel like there's going to be a lot of cat breakers this year, and then also they're going to be easier to get, I would imagine. So, like I said, the first thing I'm doing when I load up 2K26, before I even make my first build, is I'm going to make some dummy build, go load in, and figure out exactly how long it's going to take me and how many cat breakers are going to be easily accessible. Because, like I said, you're going to just get so much more for your bang for your buck. These builds cost a lot. I might as well use all the information that I can to make my build, right? So, moving on. Rebirth. This is pretty cool. It's about the same as it was last year, but even easier now. It's still, there's 4 different tiers: Silver, Gold, Hall of Fame, and Legend. At Silver is when you get to 90 overall, and then all your builds from now on, you can get to 90 overall and have silver badges already. But now, there's different tiers, so there's Gold, Hall of Fame, and Legend. So once you hit 95 on a new build, you unlock Gold, and then if you do another build, you unlock Hall of Fame, another build, you unlock Legend. And basically, if I'm all the way up at Legend, if I make a new build, I can upgrade them all the way to my highest overall of my other saves. So if I have a 99 overall already, and I already have multiple builds, and I have the Legend Takeover unlocked, Legend Rebirth unlocked, basically that'll mean is, as soon as I make my next build, I can fully upgrade to 99 like last year, but also he'll have all of his badges maxed out. And at Gold, they'll have all his badges up to Gold if they get there. Hall of Fame, all badges up to Hall of Fame if they get there. Legend, all badges up to Legend if they get there. So just even less grinding you're gonna have to do on new builds, which is, in my opinion, to W. Like, some part of me is like, I feel like you should have to grind it out, but also it's like, hey, I got a job, I got real life stuff I got going on, I don't have time to be grinding out, I just want to get on the game and play. So I get it. If you want to grind it out, just don't make it a rebirth and grind it out. But that's pretty cool. And then that's about it for the news today. Next week they're dropping my team news. I probably won't make a video for that because I'm not a My Team guy, but I'm definitely going to drop a video for you guys regarding this new MyPlayer builder, and then making some point guard builds that I think are going to be really, really good on 2K26, almost like the two-way slash playment for 2K20, because I'm telling y'all, you're not going to have to upgrade your 3-ball that much to shoot this year with a pure green window and no RNG. It's going to be 2K20 vibes all over again. Everybody's going to be able to green with a 60-something 3-ball, 50-something 3-ball, I believe. So that's coming in the next few days. Keep a lookout for that. And just remember, once y'all get y'all's hands on the game, figure out how many cat breakers you're going to eventually get. Figure out, use all these quality of life things to know exactly what animations, know exactly what body types. That way you're not messing up your first builds. I've done it so many times in the past. There's nothing worse than spending $100 on your first build, and then after a couple weeks or a month, you're never using it again because you got to make a new one because that build it's not cutting it, right? So take y'all's time in the build makers. Figure out how many cat breakers you're going to get. Keep your cat breakers in mind before you make the build. Even if it takes you a little bit of time to get to them, it'll be worth it in the long run so you don't have to make a million different builds, right? That's what they want you to do. They want you to make a million different builds, but keep a good level of cat breakers in mind, okay, guys? I want to thank y'all for watching. So, everybody's favorite point guard geethers. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.